Hi guys, it's Mrs. Smith. I hope everybody had a good week and a good weekend. So we're here starting our second week of distance learning, and we are going to be looking at angles and parallel lines today, and then also complementary and supplementary angles. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is go through a couple of vocab words that you're going to hear and need to know. So a transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines at different points. And just a quick reminder, probably the easiest way to take these notes would be to open up two OneNote pages and do that split screen that we talked about last class. So arrow over, do the Windows button on the left-hand bottom left of your computer, do the arrow button over to the side on the bottom right, and do the same thing and open up two OneNotes, and one with the video with the notes, and then one where you can actually write the notes. Okay, so corresponding angles are two angles in the same position. Okay. Alternate interior angles are two angles that lie inside the two lines on opposite sides of the transversal. And then alternate exterior angles are two angles that lie outside the two lines on opposite sides of the transversal. So just to kind of go through some examples of those, if we look at this diagram here to the left, this line right here would be your transversal. Okay, so that line is your transversal because it's intersecting two or more lines. Okay. So now if we look for corresponding angles, they're angles that share the same position. So basically, if I look at, let's say, angle A, and you want to kind of take these first four angles as a chunk, and then these last four angles as a chunk. Okay, so if I look at angle A, and then I look down here, angle E shares that same position down at the bottom. Okay, so corresponding angles would be angle A and angle E. Okay, so again, if we look for another pair here, angle C, and then we look down at the bottom, would share the same position as angle G. Okay, so I'm going to do angle C and angle G. And then if we look at angle B here, again, down at the bottom, F shares that same position. So angle B and angle F. And then the last one here would be angle D and angle H. Okay, so again, you kind of want to split the top part and the bottom part and just look for the angles that share those same positions. So now we're looking for the alternate interior angles. So interior means that they're going to be inside those two lines. So if I'm looking at all of the angles that are inside of those two lines, right, it would be all of these angles are inside of those two lines. And they're alternate, which means they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So one example of that would be angle C and angle F. Okay, so they're alternate interior. So angle C and angle F, which means the other pair would be angle D and angle E. Okay, so angle D and angle E. And then we now have alternate exterior. So exterior means that they're on the outside of those two lines. Okay, so now I'm looking at angle A, B, G, and H. So again, we want them to alternate across the transversal. So if I look at angle A would be alternate exterior with angle H. So angle A and angle H Okay, which means if you kind of think about this for a second, if angle A and angle H are alternate exterior, that means angle B and angle G, right, would be alternate exterior. Okay, so interior, inside the two lines, exterior, outside the two lines, and then they're alternating across the transversal. Okay, so down here it says when transversal T intersects parallel lines, okay, corresponding alternate interior and alternate exterior angles are congruent. So what that means is that they have the same measurement, okay, or they're equal. Okay, so this is only true if it's intersecting parallel lines. Okay, the lines have to be parallel, which means they're never going to be intersecting. So for parallel lines here, they're either going to tell you that the lines are parallel, or sometimes you also see these markings on the lines, which means that these two lines are parallel to each other. So it says tell whether the angles are corresponding alternate interior or alternate exterior angles here. So angles A and or angle A and angle H. So A and H, they're on opposite sides of the transversal and they're outside of the two parallel lines. So these are going to be alternate exterior angles. Okay, angle D and angle E. So D and E are now inside these two lines and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So these are alternate interior. And then angle B and angle F. So angle B and angle F. Again, if we look at the top angles here and then the bottom angles as two different groups, angle B and angle F share the same position. Okay, so if they share the same position, those would be corresponding. Okay, so if we look at the next example, it says in the diagram, transversal T intersects parallel lines A and B. So again, they're going to tell you that these two lines here are parallel if the measure of angle 5 is equal to 40 degrees. So I'm going to write that in. So the angle 5 here is equal to 40 degrees. Find the measure of the other numbered angles. Okay, so we know that if it's intersecting two parallel lines, and we go back up here, it told us that parallel lines, or sorry, that corresponding alternate interior and alternate exterior angles would be congruent. So I can say if angle 5 is 40 degrees, a corresponding angle to angle 5 would be angle 1, right? So that's also going to be 40 degrees. Okay, we also know alternate interior angles are going to be the same. So angle 5 and angle 4 are alternate interior. So I know that angle 4 is going to be 40 degrees. Okay, I also know that alternate exterior are going to be the same. So angle 1 and angle 8 are going to be alternate exterior. So I know that these are going to be the same. Another way that you could have done this, from angle 5, we know that angle 5 and angle 8 are vertical angles from our last lesson. And we also know that vertical angles are congruent. So we could have said 5 is 40 degrees, 8 is 40 degrees. Okay, and then from there we could have done the alternate exterior, alternate interior. But again, once we got 1 or 4, we could say, okay, if 1 is 40 degrees, it's vertical to 4, which makes that 40 degrees as well. Okay, also from our last lesson, we know that if two angles form a straight line, remember it's equal to 180 degrees. So if two angles form a straight line, it's equal to 180 degrees. And we looked at that last week. So I can choose a bunch of different angles that make a straight line. So I'm just going to choose angle 5 and angle 6. So these would form a straight line. So I know if angle 5 is 40 degrees, then I know that angle 6 would have to be 180 degrees minus angle 5, so minus the 40 degrees, which means angle 6 is 140 degrees. Okay, so now from here, I can either say angle 6 and angle 7 are vertical, which mean that they're congruent, so 7 would be 140 degrees. I could also say angle 6 corresponds with angle 2, right? They share that same position. So 2 is also 140 degrees. I could also say angle 6 is alternate exterior with angle 3. So angle 3 is also 140 degrees. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways that you could go about proving the measurements or finding the measurements for all of these angles. Okay. So the last thing that we're going to look at here is complementary and supplementary angles. So complementary angles are two angles that sum to a measure of exactly 90 degrees. Okay? And supplementary angles are two angles that sum to 180 degrees. Okay, so if we look at this first example, it says identify each pair of angles as complementary, supplementary, or neither. So angle 1 and angle 2, we know, just like we talked about up above here, that these form a straight line, which is going to sum to 180 degrees. So angle 1 and angle 2 would be supplementary angles, okay, because they equal 180 degrees. If I look at example 2, I have a 60-degree angle and a 30-degree angle, which would sum to 90 degrees. Okay, so I know that this would be complementary angles. Okay, so if I try these next two, if you look at 85 and 90, okay, so if you add 85 and 90 together, that's going to give us 175. Okay, so this is going to be neither. So they don't, oopsie, they don't equal 180. They obviously don't equal 90. Okay, so that would be neither. And then if we look at 75 and 15 and add these together, that's going to give us 90. So these ones would be complementary. All right, the third example here. So now they want us to find x. So since the two angles form a right angle, we know that they're complementary. So we know these two angles sum to 90 degrees. So just like we did last week, we can now take these two angle measurements and say, okay, 2x plus the 28 degrees are both going to equal the 90 degrees. So now we can just go ahead and solve our equation here. Okay, so we have 2x equals 62, and we're going to divide by 2 to get that x is equal to 31. All right, and the last one here, the angles shown are supplementary. Again, find the value of x. So we know that if they're supplementary, they sum to 180 degrees. So we're going to do 123 plus 3x should be equal to 180. And again, we're going to just solve this like a normal equation here. Okay, we're going to divide by 3. And you can use your calculator to do this, or I'll do the division off to the side if you want to do your long division there. And get 19. Okay, so that is it for today's lesson. Make sure that you have your notes filled in here on your page, and then we're going to meet to do the guided practice together at 12:30. All right, I hope everybody's doing well. Bye.